Painkiller Nearly, episode 349. How are you, boys?
Good.
Doing good. Kyle, I'm almost out of the hole of the St. Louis, Colorado. Or actually, no. We have to remove the death pool from that because otherwise I'm not even close to out of the hole. But I'm close to out of the hole now. But unfortunately, they don't have any more games yet this season, so you win by $5, I think, is the way it works.
Yeah, unless somehow we both make it to the playoffs and play against each other.
So what that would need to happen is Colorado's already clinched, but they would need to get to first place above Vegas, which is very possible. And then St. Louis just needs to stay in fourth. And then, they would play a 7-game series, which just like, you know how there are some like worse teams in any sport where it's like, let's say the Braves are way better than the Marlins. I don't know baseball, but for some reason, every time you play the Marlins, you're like, these fucking Marlins, they're just built to beat the Braves. What is wrong with that? Like, that's how the Blues are for Colorado most of the time. Like, a bunch of the injuries change that. But, like, you go to the Colorado Avalanche Reddit, like, almost all my Reddit use now is going to the different hockey teams and, like, reading about it. And they'll be like, give us Vegas, give us fucking anyone but St. Louis because they got something on us. We always lose to St. Louis because our players are too afraid of getting hit really hard. Or whatever it is. And so I would much rather take on Colorado than Vegas. If the Blues play Vegas in the first round, Vegas is just too skilled for us. They'll roll us, I think.
Yeah. I know what that's like. Yeah, there's certain matchups where it's like when the playoffs come around, it's like, oh, we got to play against the Saints.
Yeah.
We got to play against the Saints like every fucking time. Like they've always got some like freak of nature running back, and it's the Yankees in the series. Great. This couldn't be one of the years they didn't want to win, so they dropped their salary by $40 million. Great. I remember that happened in like '99, I think. Like
they just decided not to win.
Well, no, like the Yankees every now and then decide to win, so they just up their like salary to like $250 million. Back then, it would have been $250 million. Now it's probably $325 million.
In fact, that's outrageous.
I'm talking like in 1999, and it was. I just remember, I'm pretty sure that was the year the Braves made it to the series. Might have been the year of John Rocker making all those crazy inflammatory comments about Jew York and F slurs on the subway and all that shit. And like, it was just a real controversy. And at the same time, we're like,
to be a baseball fan though.
It was a fun time to be a Braves fan, especially because it was just like going in, like we had no hope. I had no hope. Like as a whatever I was, a 12, 13-year-old or something like that. I was just like, oh, the Yankees. Oh, okay. Well, we're just the Atlanta Braves. We just happened to like be real scrappy this year. Yeah. Although we had won the series like 4 years prior. So it was like, we're going to win it every 4 or 5 years. There was also that kind of mindset, but no, the fucking Yankees. I don't remember how many games it went. If I had to guess, we won 1, maybe 2 games, but probably.
Have they been back since? Or is that their last appearance? The World Series, yeah.
I think not that I remember, but like it's kind of a blur, and there were years where I just didn't care at all and I was super busy or just drugged out. So like I can't really remember. But last year obviously was our best shot. Like if we had won, all we had to do was like win one more game against the Dodgers. We had them like down 3-1 or something in a best of 7. So you need one more win, get that 4th win, and we let them come back and win 3 straight and beat us. And then I don't recall who the Dodgers had to play in the series last year, but we would have beaten them easily. Like it would have been no problem because like it was just a bad matchup for them. We'd have won the series last year if we could have just clinched one more fucking game. And
I have no idea.
That was a real sad time for Kyle.
I have no idea who. Gun to my head, I have no idea who won the World Series last year.
It was the Dodgers.
Oh, it was? Oh.
Yeah. That's why I say like all the Braves had to do was win.
The Dodgers lost, but that the Braves would have rolled that other.
Oh no, see that's the thing. Like we were so competitive against the Dodgers that we took it to the 7th game in our playoff series, and we had them down 3-1. And like there was one game where we blew them the fuck out, maybe 2. And it was like both of us had explosive offenses and real good pitching. It was just like, oh man, these are the best 2 teams in baseball. And then you get to the series and the American League team. Again, I can't recall who it was last year, but it was one of those years, I think, where the Yankees and the Red Sox didn't feel like winning. So it was probably like the Brewers or somebody or some no-name team, whatever. But yeah,
No
yeah.
name team
Dude.
goes back.
Some no-name team you've never even heard of.
Talking
Tampa
about
Bay Rays.
matchups.
There you go. Exactly. Perfect.
Again, fair enough.
The Tampa Bay Rays.
Talking about matchups, there was a UFC fighter named Matt Hughes, right? Back in the early 2000s. Not only was he the best 170 pounder in the UFC, but he was in that conversation for best unarmed combat human to have ever walked the earth, right? He was just fucking badass. But he had a loss on his record to this guy named Dennis Hallman. Dennis Hallman's good, but So they give him a rematch. Dennis Hallman beats him again. So then a little time passes, right? Now he's in the middle of this, like, defending the belt. He's got like 5-6 defenses in a row. He's just fucking amazing. And they're like, dude, you want to take on Dennis Hallman again? And he had this great line. He goes, nah, that guy's a bum. The only thing he can do is beat me. He didn't want him.
Apparently, this guy, Dennis Hallman, I just looked it up. Never heard of him in my life. This guy takes every fight available. He's 53-20. That's it. That's
He's 2-0 against Matt Hughes.
Yeah, 76 total fight. That seems like a lot. Maybe I'm going overboard.
It is a lot.
I feel like sometimes you'll like hear about someone where it's like, oh, so and so, you know, the Titan of the mid 2000s. You look at his record and it's like, wow, 13-1. It's like, yeah. And then you just quit in 2007, huh?
Part of it, sometimes guys have a lot more fights than you think, but they're not all MMA fights. Like Adesanya's a good
kickboxing.
example. Yeah. Sometimes guys come, they're wrestlers and they're kickboxers, and go ahead, Kyle.
And you'd often see those guys that come out of Thailand, like with like fucking 80 pro fights or something. And you're like, oh, how old is he? Because you've like never heard of like Boom Boom Pow.
Yeah.
And like you see Boom Boom Pow and you're like,
11.
He's a kid. Like he's 23 years old and he's got 87 pro fights. Like, yeah, his first was when he was 9. It's like they start so fucking early over there. And like our version of combat sports at like that age is like rinky dink. Like I remember I was in karate, right? When I was 7 or 8.
Me too.
Like, and we would spar, but it was just like we had those cushy gloves, and it's like 7-year-old can't hurt another 7-year-old with a punch. I mean, like every now and then you'd tap somebody a little bit, but it was like nothing. It was nothing. Meanwhile, they're over there like kicking bamboo poles, deadening the nerves in their shins at 7.
Thailand is interesting because like there's two parts of this. On one side, they don't seem to believe in concussions. Like they're an urban myth or something like that. Like concussions, nah.
Don't care.
You shake it off the next day and then you're 100% again. That's not how it works. The other side of it is they seem to take a little less damage. Like when you lose in a UFC fight, you know, especially at that level, that other guy is wrecked. They put like 4 or 5 shots to an unconscious downed opponent just to be sure he's we want to be triple sure he's down and didn't want to fight anymore. In Thailand, as badass as those fights are, like when a guy's going down, it's the ref's job to catch his head while he's falling to make sure that it doesn't take that one extra blow. It's the ref's job. They stop it after the first heavy hit.
It's kind of nice.
Yeah, dude, you should see. The refs are athletic, diving and catching fighters as they go down. It's cool.
Why don't we do that? Like that.
We do the opposite.
Be more entertaining. Yeah, they push them faster.
No, yeah, right. No, the fighters, like if the fighter is knocked out, a lot of times they don't have a good memory of that. Like the events that led to it, and they claim that they weren't knocked out, that they were fine. The ref,
just happened.
The ref blew it. Yeah, who was it?
Wei Li.
You're right. Yeah.
And I blame it on Chinese people being bad sports.
You think that she's a bad sport and that she knew she got knocked out?
She saw the replay. Like what Woody suggested is absolutely right. Like oftentimes, like somebody will get knocked the fuck out, and that memory disappears for them. They just went into a black hole. Okay. And they come out of that black hole and like, it's not like, oh, I'm missing time. It's like, the fuck did you call the fight for? He hit me. I fell. I hopped right back up. They have no memory of that slow, awkward fall where they were like locked up and then a guy hit them 3 times in the
3 hammer fists while they were unconscious.
They got no memory of that. That didn't happen for them. It's like the record skipped. And but like Wei Li, she's watching on the Jumbotron. She sees her hit the ground, eyes rolling around in her head, and then boom, 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 and then she's just like laying there taking it. And if Rose keeps going, it's just like, well, I'll just hammer you into the fucking ground eventually. Like I'll kill you.
So the ref
and she's debating with the ref, saying you stopped it too early. Meanwhile, her legs are like that scene when Bambi learned to walk on ice. She's just like skating her, like, what? No, I'm fine. What's the problem? And it's
she's just clearly concussed.
Yeah, but I give her. So Kyle says bad sport. I like Joe Rogan, for example, doesn't interview people who just got knocked out because sometimes they say things they regret. They don't know what's
not themselves.
So I gave her that benefit of the doubt.
Fair enough. I think she had a lot riding on this. I don't know if you watched, they do those sort of like, the UFC is good about this. They do a little character study of, especially when there's main events like this. And so they showed like where she lives, trains, eats, her family life and all that stuff. It is abysmal. You got to keep in mind, Taylor, this woman is like the champion of her weight class in the UFC in China. Yeah. And she's like a big deal. She's got like over 1 billion mentions on their version of Twitter or something like that. She's got like 500, I think 5 million followers or 500 million followers. 5 million seems much more feasible. I think
that does.
Yeah. It's like outrageous, like social media numbers in China. Like she's the biggest thing there for MMA.
And China's not even like setting her up in a mansion or like anything like that.
It looked like when they do those documentaries about North Korea, it like her kitchen looked like the poorest kitchen I've ever seen in my life in America. Like I don't know, like I don't mean to be like cruel or mean or shitty or anything, but like maybe you've ever gone to like a poor friend's house and you're like, man, I've got it good. You're fucking happy to like eat like whatever's served. You're polite, you're nice, but when you leave, your thought process isn't what a loser, his family's poor. It's I'm blessed. I'm so fortunate that my mother.
I didn't realize how cool it was that all my drywall is painted.
There you go. I didn't realize how cool it was to not have peeling wallpaper in my home, and for it to be 3 different kinds of wallpaper in one room. I didn't realize how fortunate I am that there aren't cleaning supplies dangling from the ceiling in the kitchen, like hanging from like misshapen hooks that someone clearly made by hand. Like it looked like that North Korean like lifestyle where they're like, and this is our light bulb. It was provided by the state. Yes.
2 hours a month of light.
8 watts. 8 watts. That's right. Yes. Many lumens provided by the great leader. Like she's living in this real poor like situation. And I'm sure there it's like,
why is she poor? The UFC must pay her. She's a champion.
I don't know what China does.
Yeah. People. Maybe they think that she's hungry or poor. There was when Ronda Rousey did her first fight, I think it was against Liz Carmouche, but I'm not positive on that. In any case, they did that character study into the UFC, sort of what they're doing, and you've got Ronda. Ronda's situation was like Drago from Rocky IV, I think. So she's hitting mid. She's got all these trainers, state of the art. This is my boxing guy. This is my grappling guy. I come from an Olympic background. Every advantage. Liz Carmouche, she's like, I'm so exhausted. I wish I didn't have to work full time while I prepared for the championship fight. Like, I have no money. This is just me. Like, I don't know. There's 12-year-olds in my training classes while I try to get better.
It's rough. It's rough.
It was so unfair.
This is my I just looked up her kitchen to try and see. Like, I don't get it. Is she at a friend's house or something? And they're because
what do you link what you're talking about?
Yeah. And they were like, so it's probably they were like interviewing her and her like coach or whatever, and they're all eating together in like this group and around the kitchen, and he's like, all she does is eat and train and sleep. That is all she does. And then they go to her and she's like, all I do is eat and train and sleep.
Yes.
And she's like, I had many weaknesses. Like, of course, like these Chinese athletes have no like bravado about them, like because you're not allowed to. She's like, I had many weaknesses, many weaknesses. And I have spent this time addressing them and conquering my weaknesses and becoming greater. I will never be perfect. I will never be the best me, but all I can do is try my best. And it's just like, oh my God, Rose has to fight this fucking monster? This is terrifying. This is like someone from the 19th century.
Dude.
Like,
everybody underestimates Rose, me included. Right?
Every time.
Every time. Every time Rose fights, Rose wins, it's a fluke. Because she could never beat that monster she just beat. So they make her rematch. It's going to happen again.
Yep. More convincingly.
She's always the underdog. And she's so sweet. She wins the title. She's crying. She's like, I just want everyone to be nice to each other. And it's like, she probably sucks at fighting. I don't know why she has a gold belt.
Exactly. Yeah. And then she does it again. Like Taylor, they put her up against, a couple years ago, they put her up against this chick named Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Very difficult name to spell. Almost as hard to pronounce. And this chick is terrifying. I want to say she had been champ for 5 years or something like that.
Sounds
like
right.
let's say that's 8 wins in a row or something like that.
Season. Yeah.
Just a monster, just conquering everyone. That's not even close. It's like head and shoulders. She's the best there's ever been. And now Rose has to fight her. And it's like, oh no. Rose comes out and knocks her the fuck out with one punch, like 30 seconds in. And everybody's like, fluke. Rematch in 5 months, bitch. Let's see what you got now. She comes back and she's like, well, I guess you don't like flash knockouts. Let me do a 5-round war where I just beat the shit out of Joanna Jędrzejczyk and outclass her in every part of the mixed martial arts game. I'll out wrestle her. I'll outbox her. I'll maintain distance better than her. I'll have better cage management than her. I'll just show that I am head and shoulders the best there's ever been. And she does. It was beautiful. 2 in a row. And then Joanna Jędrzejczyk, like, also a bad loser, is just like, she's like struggling to come up with a reason why it wasn't fair. Like the second time she lost, because the first time she'd be like, oh, fluke. She just hit me once, you know. It was a lucky shot. You know, I stubbed my toe. But then the second time, it's like, we spent 25 minutes determining.
Didn't she knock her out again? Am I wrong on this? I could be wrong.
I could be wrong too. I thought it went 5 rounds.
I'm checking. It's not super important.
Yeah.
Rose, one of them went 5 rounds.
You're right. She won a unanimous decision. I was wrong.
But ever since then, that ruined this poor lady Joanna's confidence.
Yes.
Now she's getting beat up by Zhang Weili and Valentina Shevchenko.
Zhang Weili is very good.
Well,
That's the girl that Rose just...
She still beat up Michelle Watterson.
Yeah. See, those 3 fights are, you might be... I like how you interpreted that, because that's a perfect segue into like, no, Weili is the scary Chinese champion who lives in the rustic kitchen. All right, she's the monster. It's like, yeah, she lost her, and it by the way, it's the best women's fight there's ever been. That fight, Joanna Jędrzejczyk versus Weili. If anybody out there is like wanting to like dip their toes into mixed martial arts, or maybe you're one of those people who's just like skips women's MMA for some reason. Just try to find that fight. Joanna Jędrzejczyk versus Weili. Joanna has this hematoma on her forehead at one point. And by at one point, I mean for half the fucking fight, that makes her look like a goddamn Klingon from Star Trek. And Weili is hitting it over and over. And it looks like you are like inflating. It looks like practical effects from the 80s. How they would just like inflate a thing on top of somebody's actual skin. It doesn't look real. She looks gruesome, and incredible fight. That fight, and then the other loss she had with Valentina Shevchenko. She's the bullet. Okay, Valentina Shevchenko. There are 3 women out there who are just the greatest there's ever been at their weight class, and they are Amanda Nunes, Valentina Shevchenko, and Rose Namajunas. Those 3 women are in 3 different weight classes, and they are unbeatable in their weight classes. Actually, Amanda's in 2 weight classes, and she's unbeatable in both of them. Yes. Yeah.
Cyborg was in one of them, and she was unbeatable until she met Amanda.
Amanda Nunes, yes. So now Amanda is the 145 and 135 champion. Valentina Shevchenko will be the 125 champion until she's 45. And Rose Namajunas is the current champion at 115, and I don't see that changing anytime soon.
Yeah, well, this lady clearly got fucked up.
I mean, she doesn't look human anymore, right?
No.
She doesn't look like the same person.
No,
not at all. Well, in one of them, she's dressed up nice, and in the other one, the blood looks like she's got braces, but I'm sure that's a mouth guard.
Mouth guard.
And braces. That would be terrible.
Welcome to the Orthodontic Fighting League, where we put braces on our fighters right before the bout.
Yeah, every single fight, 1 round. Just fucking I quit, man. This is bullshit.
Look at that forehead. I wonder what it feels. I want to poke it with my finger.
Yeah, like how stiff is it?
Yeah, how
is it like a right cantaloupe?
Is it like Boogie's leg where you press it and it just like stays there for a second?
Like a lymphedema? It could be.
Like when you make one of those like amorphous solids or whatever, like where it's just like lots of cornstarch and water. Where like you can
fluid, yeah.
Yeah, a non-Newtonian fluid. Yeah, that's the trick. Yeah, where like if you press slowly, you can depress it, but if you hit it quickly, it's like a rock.
Yeah, that's why it was taking all those punches, not denting in. But if you were to just stick your finger in, it'd be like raw dough.
Yeah, man, I love Rose. I've never cared so much for a sportsman, sportswoman, whatever, like an athlete is what I'm looking for, as I do for Rose Namajunas. I genuinely care about her and want good things for her. I love her.
I was just about to say she's the Chris Pratt of MMA. It's like, yeah, I just hope that things go well for her.
I genuinely hope she's happy right now wherever she is. I care about her genuinely and thoroughly. Like she is a wonderful human being and an incredible fucking athlete, and I love her.
Wasn't she like 14 when she moved in with Pat Barry and started fucking?
Ignore that.
Interesting. Well, that's another plot.
We'll ignore that.
I hope I hope she's at the corner happy and healthy.
Pat Barry pulls that slider on Tinder all the way to the left, and then some. He breaks that bitch off at the corner. Pat Barry's potential pedophilia aside, huge fan of Rose.
I don't know who Pat Barry is.
He's her boyfriend, husband, coach, all the above. I don't know.
Oh, they claim they met when she was 18.
Cool.
But they had already been dating for 4 years.
Look at Woody defaming.
No, it was really 14. They just changed their history.
Well, and the unfortunate
isn't very impressive at all.
And the most unfortunate part about that, Woody, is she's not one of those girls who looks much older than her age. Like she still looks
14.
Yeah. She still looks borderline. Like I don't know. Very beautiful girl. I love the shaved head. Like I don't think it's necessarily all that attractive. Like when she had long hair, it was really cute.
Obviously.
So this is going to be maybe a little controversial and what have you. So here's the deal. Pat Barry was 28. She was 14.
Wait, that's the age gap?
Yes.
Fuck.
But there's no coming back from this.
Now she is 28 herself, and they're still together. Does the fact that they stayed together undo the pedo aspect of it at all?
Honestly,
if anything, it makes it look more like grooming. Like
I think I
prepared for that kind of stuff.
Look, it's not for me to judge. That's what I'm going to say. Not for me to judge.
I will absolutely judge the 28-year-old who's taking a 14-year-old on dates.
I don't think it's a good policy.
That's what a pedophile does.
How can you be that bold and that courageous, Taylor?
I know. I feel like, and I'm in the minority.
Yes, you are. Welcome to the show.
I don't think it's a good policy, but I think this may be an instance where it really was love, and maybe you had a very immature Pat Barry and a very mature Rose Namajunas. That's what I'm going to hope.
I believe Taylor's anti-pedo stance makes him in the minority in YouTube in general.
I think it's wildly inappropriate. But the fact that they have stayed together does suggest that it's true love and not anything all that weird.
That's actually what I was getting at. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, you see that shit in every Disney cartoon is the same fucking thing, by the way. Every one of those princesses in a Disney movie, like Google how old like the Little Mermaid. I think the Little Mermaid's 16, by the way, when she fucking gets some fake legs and goes and fucks that prince.
Yeah, and he would have been thrown in jail.
But here's the thing that makes her a little more adult. So while she did look young, like Kyle said, she was like on her own, supporting herself or something. She had like a super bad family situation. So even at a young age, she was kind of behaving as an adult and moved in with Pat Barry like an adult romantic relationship kind of. Too young, right?
Too young.
But
it's not. It is not an adult romantic relationship. Like the power imbalance there of a literal big in the middle of puberty child and a 28-year-old adult man who's been an adult man for many years now. Like that's beyond the pale. You know what I mean?
I don't like it.
In business and in the eyes of the U.S. government, when you support yourself, you can sign your own contracts and make your own decisions.
If you are the kind of 28-year-old man that invites a 14-year-old girl to live with him and begin a sexual relationship is a pedophile. And just because he has convinced her that it's not that way, that's beyond the pale.
I don't like it at all. I try
there are
to
cultural differences here. Is he from Florida, maybe?
Oh God.
Yeah, we'll see.
Like this whole time I've been viewing it from Rose's point of view, and I don't know. I just imagined I'm Pat Barry, and I'm just like, oh my God, what are you doing? Like when I think of it like that, like someone who's half your age when you're 28, like half your age when you're 40. For some reason, I have no issue with.
She's an adult. She's not 14.
Half your age when you're 36, I also have no issue with. But
half your age when you're 18. It's a problem.
The chasm
Jesus.
of 24 to 14 to 28 is just like you were her age now when she was like semen. Like,
okay,
yeah.
Excuse me, guys. What is the worst time to date someone half your age?
When you're 100.
150? That's fine. They're both consenting adults.
Oh, I thought I was.
You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
What is the most scandalous time, right? If you're one, it's not scandalous at all.
It's got to be like 18 and 9.
That is bad.
Like that's the worst. It's got to be because the 18-year-old is now a legal adult. He's crossed that threshold, while at the same time being with someone who is literally as young as possible while sticking to your rule set.
I think that's probably
18 and 9 is a good one. I just had in my head how does 30 and 15 rank? Because I see a 30-year-old as like a really seasoned adult decision maker.
They got that full brain capacity going on.
Yeah.
15-year-old's still a kid. They can't even drive.
Right? They live with their parents. They haven't experienced. They're under the shelter of an adult.
Yeah, the 30-year-old probably has a mortgage, and the 15-year-old doesn't have a driver's license.
They're still they're at the end of their bike phase. That's what they are. And you've had a mortgage for almost a decade.
Yeah.
Or another way to look at it is
soda pops when I have my license.
Another way to look at it is you could easily at 30 have a 12-year-old child of your own.
25 and a half and 12.
Like your child could be going to school with that 15-year-old and like easily.
That's how they meet. 25
That's
and 12.
That's how they meet.
They meet. Oh, you would love my dad.
He's the best.
Like, do you remember those creepy teachers in grade school or not? No, I guess it was middle school. And in your head, like teachers are always way older than you think they are. Like I remember like even in like third grade being like, oh, Miss Stevenson, she's probably like 50, but she was probably like a 25-year-old woman. But like adult was adult. But I remember middle school, that's like 13, 14-year-old girls, kind of that same age range. I remember there were like adults, teachers, men who would like walk behind them and like rub their shoulders or like be too handsy. And it was like an understood thing where it's like, oh yeah, Mr. Smith, he's fucking weird. Like you can see like girls sometimes like shy away. This guy was a fucking straight up creep. And
I had a teacher.
He was probably 28, 29, 30, early 30s doing this to 14-year-olds. And in no world were those 14-year-olds like, oh, well, I'm the princess in my fantasy.
Yeah.
Taylor's describing a man who loves his job.
So I didn't see that like the hands-on kind of creepiness, but there was my chemistry teacher. He was like a gross late 40s, early 50s, like very unattractive and overweight guy. And I don't know, he'd make comments like and jokes in class that were inappropriate for I want to say 10th grade, maybe 11th grade, but definitely not whenever you take chemistry.
Like sexual jokes about
he said shower heads have 3 settings, low, medium, and who needs a man.
He was just practicing for his.
Oh, I get it. I was slow on that one. It took me a while.
Oh!
I'm like, because I thought it was like co-showering, and I'm like, how does that impact temperature desires? It's a masturbatory tool. Got it.
Yeah.
They would have, scolded a teacher who made a joke like that.
It would scold you if the temperature was too high.
Yeah.
Yeah, play on scold. Yeah,
that wasn't cool.
Scald.
And then, I don't know. He'd always make sure that a pretty girl was handing out the forms and papers and stuff. Like, he was just a little creepy. I remember thinking at the time, like however old I was, 15, probably 16, 17, somewhere in there. Ooh, you shouldn't say that.
No, and when you're like the tactful one in class, you're like, oh, that's inappropriate, and I'm 16.
Well, I think a lot of them didn't get the joke. That was part of it too. Like a lot of my classmates weren't. I don't know. I guess that didn't get the joke. But I'm sitting there like, well, you can't say that.
There was this. I've said this before, but there was this fat black kid in my 7th grade, and we had this teacher she was probably in her like early mid 20s with the biggest fucking tits, and nobody else could sell this. It was strictly Tyrese's word against anyone else, because he was the one. He would sit in the back of every class, but for that English class, he would sit right in front of her on the stool on the front row, and he would like at lunch afterward be like, "Oh, Taylor, you couldn't see? I swear I saw her pussy, man." And I'm like, "Tyrese, you did not see Mrs. Manson's pussy in English. Someone else would have seen it." He's like, "You don't even know. You're sitting in the back." And he would like always sit there every day and say it. And he was the younger person, and he was just trying to catch an eyeful, so that wasn't really inappropriate. He's a horny boy. But I do remember I had a male gym teacher who was just a grade A meat gazer. I've mentioned this too. He would he would stand in the hallway, because it was the shower here, and then there was the entrance out of the shower, exit out of the shower, and then you grab your towel that's hanging up, walk back to your locker, and dry off, put your clothes on, go to class. And there was no reason for him to be there. Like after football, when I played football, guess what the football coach did? He went into his office away from everyone showering, and if he came out, he had like a clipboard and was like, "Hey guys, it's like 3 minutes until your next class. Just need to give you." That's what like the normal people did. This guy he wouldn't stay in his office. This other guy, he would lean against the wall adjacent to the towel racks, and he would watch us dry off. He would watch us dry off, and you would catch him meat gazing, and he would do it. And he would stand there the entire shower period, not just at the last couple minutes to be like, "Come on, you're going to be late." He would stand there the whole time and watch people shower. And he did this every day for, I assume, every single gym class at the school. And it's funny now that I still have friends where I'll be like, "Dude, that guy was a fucking weirdo, and he did that." And they'll be like, you're reading too much into it. And then I'll like bring in other friends and be like, "Do you remember that? Yeah? Okay, so you're the minority." Everybody remembers him just walking around staring at our dicks in our naked asses. And at the time, we thought it was kind of funny. Like, what a kook. What a weirdo. what a pedo or whatever. But, we thought he's not going to do anything. But that people like that should probably not be working at schools. And I guarantee, just like pastors, priests, anywhere that gives you trust and availability around children, you're going to see a preponderance of pedophiles.
You're probably right. Do you think pedophiles seek out those jobs for their pedophile thing, or do those jobs turn you into a pedo?
I think they seek it out oftentimes because they see it as a way to get in and engage in their fill.
If part of your job description involved meat gazing, maybe you'd learn to love it.
Well, it's the same way that I would say like cops. Like there are definitely cops who get involved because they want to help people, but there are also like a contingent of cops who are like, they want to fuck somebody up.
I feel like the bad cop conversation ended a few days ago. Like, you know what? Never mind. Back burner. We don't need to change anything, reform anything. It's been days since someone had unnecessary murdered.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just not paying attention.
It's all cyclical. It'll happen again, and it'll start where it left off, which is nowhere.
With gun control, I love that cycle. It's like, everyone just take a breath. In 5 days, we'll have a new topic. With police reform, I hate that cycle. I'm like, let's do something.
Mm-hmm. I'm just fully invested in the cycle of the Blues please making the playoffs.
Wait, they might?
They might, yes. Arizona sucked dick the last few games, and they lost to San Jose last night. We have 3 games in hand on them, and we're a point up. And so I think it's in our favor. Only 10 Blues have 10 games left this season. Arizona 7 games. So I'm excited. I'm hoping that Colorado tears it up at the end of the year and that the Blues make the playoffs, because it would be fun to get a 7-game series of St. Louis versus Colorado. I don't think
ESPN doesn't have an easy to understand playoff thing.
I don't even know exactly how they're doing it. I guess it's all just divisions. And so it'd be 1 versus 4 and 2 versus 3 per division. And then Central and East play and North and West. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know how
I'm very confused.
Carolina Hurricanes, they're the only team in Central to have locked their position for the playoffs. So that's good news. Philadelphia they're not going to make it. Shit.
Philadelphia's not going to make it?
It doesn't look like it, because New York, Boston, and the Islanders all have some space above them. And then there's no way they're catching Pittsburgh or Washington with this many games remaining.
Pittsburgh sucks. They'll probably lose the rest.
That's true. If Philadelphia wins out, they'll only be a few points behind the existing Pittsburgh.
How many games are there this season?
There's 10 more, I believe.
But it's different for every team.
Yeah. So there's 8 more for Philly. 10 more for St. Louis, 10 more for Colorado.
So there's 56 game?
Yeah, 56 games. Then 8 more for Carolina.
Well,
I'm excited.
That's the good part about rooting for 2 teams.
Yeah. And if the Blues suck, I'll either join on rooting for Colorado, because of all the teams in our division, I like Colorado the most anyway. I always have, ever since Sakic and Forsberg and Patrick Waugh and all those guys in the 90s and early 2000s. And then if not, I'll jump on the Carolina Hurricanes.
Boom. There you go. You can have 2. Colorado and the Hurricanes.
Hell yeah.
They're not going to play each other unless they meet in the finals, which they might.
Ooh, that'd be so cool.
Could. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
This is the best Carolina Hurricanes team they've had in... when they win? 2004, 2005?
It's hard to judge a Hurricane 5, and it's hard to judge a Hurricanes team because they always do so well in the playoffs. They have a mediocre regular season, then make the Eastern Conference Finals, or they lose the Stanley Cup or something.
Yeah, they always go on a nice tear when they make it, which is preferred as to those teams that make it every year. And it's nice first round at Minnesota, where it's we make the playoffs all the time, and it's when's the last time you made it past the first round? It's
the Blues for a while.
The Blues for a while.
Did they make the playoffs 26 years in a row or something silly?
Yeah, they made the playoffs 26 years in a row, but they had a bunch of second round and third round exits. They didn't make it to the cup at all in that. And they actually every single time they lost in the first or second round. So if they made it to the second round, it was whoa, there we go. Pretty good. It was good when they won the Stanley Cup, because I was it really takes a lot of games to win this thing, because twice as many series as before.
It takes 16 wins to win the cup in the playoffs. And it was neat because the Jersey Devils, the exit to get there is 16W. So every time they make it, the cameras are always 16. Here we are on 16W on our way to see the Devils. I hate that team, but just the same, it's a good exit.
I mean, the Devils had a wonderful stretch, a great season there for many years.
Fuck them though. They invented boring hockey.
Yeah,
the left wing lock.
That's true.
We've decided to take our forwards and put them on defense too, and try and win that way. And they did, but you hate it.
They did. It was really boring hockey to watch, and because they had Martin Brodeur on the back, those defensemen didn't even have to look back behind him. They could play even more aggressively and stop him at the blue line, because oh no, what are they going to do? Dump and chase? Well, there's no Brodeur rule yet, so our third defenseman's our fourth defenseman's going to grab it and then fire it up to one of our 2 offensemen. And then if someone we don't like gets in the way, we're going to have Scott Stevens put him in the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you watch big heavy hits from hockey of only the early 2000s, and you're oh, these are borderline criminal.
Yes,
they're intending to you can see Scott Stevens go in for, and I know you hate him more than anything.
Yeah,
but you'll see this 6'6", 275-pound guy jump with his shoulder at someone's head, and then the announcers of 2001 are that's a clean hockey hit from Steve. And the other guys
always acted like he was cleaner than he was, and the internet is this guy is dirty as fuck. Yeah. But the paid announcers are what a great hit. And it's dude, that guy needs a doctor, and that guy needs a therapist. Why is he doing that to people?
He did. Like, it was a common, like, it felt like every couple of years there, it'd be like, you hear what happened to Korea?
Yeah.
Long end of a Scott Stevens hit. No, his career's over. Don't worry, though. Scott Stevens, well, they didn't suspend him, but they fined him $700.
He's out dozens of dollars.
Oh, yeah. He's very, he's torn up about it. You know? I promise you this, he's not going to do the exact same thing tonight again.
I don't know it for sure, but I bet he's in the Hall of Fame.
I mean, he was a tremendous defenseman, Scott Stevens, but also he wouldn't even be able to play in today's NHL without totally revamping his game.
Yeah, that's the one thing that turns me off a little bit about the NHL is the people who just try to like ruin other people's careers on a regular basis. Like you don't see that in any other sport. Am I exaggerating? Or are there other sports where you see people like MMA is a little different,
yeah,
but like you don't see too many people like I don't know, like just crank arm bars to the breaking point, for example.
Yeah.
Like they usually let go. Like you're in a perfect position to disable this man and put him
You get thrown out
in
for that.
physical therapy.
Paul Harris did it.
He deserved it. He had a history of doing it. He was always doing it. It was his thing.
Yeah.
Like, fuck you, dude.
Knee
Like,
bars,
get out
I
of here.
think, though. But yeah.
Like any submission, he'd like to choke. He'd like to hold chokes. He was just a fucking piece of shit. Like
He went
I watched
against
the YouTube.
Jake Shields. Jake Shields is a very good grappler. So he's like, you know what? I'm the guy. I'm the guy who's going to teach him a lesson because I'm a better grappler than him. But it turns out Paul Harris has been practicing eye gouges all this time. He just, like, you think, you know, it would look inadvertent or something. No, man. He was just raking his eyeballs all fight, scratching both corneas, ripping it. Afterwards, he looked like the world's worst stoner. And he's like, look, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's so upsetting.
Yeah.
So upsetting.
That is a really good point, Kyle, that I've never actually consciously thought of. Like, I see stuff get heated in basketball, football, baseball. I never see them, and maybe it's part of the consequence of allowing fighting is that the guys take more liberties and the refs are like, if he does something like that, they'll solve it on their own. That probably is what it is. But yeah, that clip I just linked, this guy is the biggest piece of shit in the NHL, bar none. Tom Wilson. This is a preseason game. We can't, but it's a preseason game. And this is the second Blues player he injured in the preseason. Got a 20-game suspension.
Fuck that man.
He should have been suspended pretty much the whole season. He's a 6'4", 6'5", really big, strong guy, and he plays with no accountability for his body or his actions. And every single season he does shit like this. And he's one of those players that like I want so bad for Ryan Reeves to not just, humiliate him. I want to see him have his career ended because he has borderline ruined so many people's careers. This guy, I would not be upset if I saw Ryan Reeves put Tom Wilson in the fucking hospital. And it's like, oh, your ankle, you're never going to be able to play anything but minor league again. I'm so sorry. You didn't really consider that when you were trying to ruin dozen other players' careers. You didn't think about that. Didn't enter into your equation.
Yeah,
I fucking shit.
Like the equivalent, I guess, in MMA is occasionally like you'll have like repeated fouls and like and a mixture of them. Like I can't think of a specific example, but like, he held the cage and prevented the takedown. So like, the guy's trying to take him down to the ground and he reaches up and grabs the cage, and they're like, hey, let go of the cage. Well, it's too late to like take that back because like he should be on his back right now with another man on top of him. And instead, they're still standing, and he's wormed his way out of his position, and now they're in the center of the octagon, at distance again. That's strike one, and you should only get two, I think. Yeah. Like before you, I take what I mean is you should only get one. The second time, like if you hold the cage and then you kick the guy in the groin, you lose a point. That should be it. If you poke a guy in the eye and then you kick a guy in the groin, you lose a point. And if it's intentional, if it's a situation where like he's just like. Like if he pulls a fucking like yak and like clearly like goes for a foul, I think that should be a point immediately. Like I think if he rears back and just kicks him between the legs, like you can tell when it's intentional when it's not. It should immediately always be a point. Like I don't know why these refs are so fucking panty wasted about like doing their fucking jobs. I know you don't want to like affect the outcome of a fight. You see that in playoff
But the
basketball a
cheating
lot.
impacts the outcome of a fight.
Exactly. You're letting this guy like cheat to change the outcome of the fight. It's your job to. This is literally your job. Like this isn't like playoff basketball where they're like, let them play. Come on, let them play. There's fucking 45 seconds left. That's an incidental foul. Like that had no effect on the game. Like they're playing for the championship here. Let them play. We don't want to end the game fucking 7 on a free throw or some shit. Like let them play. This isn't that. It's like, dude, you've got a cheater out there. You got someone who's cheating. Like, what are you doing? They've done a good job of like throwing out some of the worser refs. Mario Yamasaki he was always the guy who, like, you may have seen him do like his fucking heart on camera all the time before the fights. Like when they'd introduce him, he do this little fucking heart thing. He's fucking piece of shit, and he was awful.
You know what else they've done that I like a lot? They've made 10-8 rounds much more common. So for people who don't know how to score fights, one guy gets 10 points. The other guy gets less than that. It's almost always one guy gets 10, one guy gets 9. Why they don't do 1-0, I don't know. But it's a 10-point must system. If you ever hear that, one guy must get 10, and the other guy typically gets 9. The trouble is there's not enough flexibility in there, right? So if I narrowly eke out and do better than the other guy, I win that round 10-9. If I absolutely get my shit pushed in, well, now we're tied. You know, I've got a 10-9 and a 9-10. Third round decides it when it shouldn't. And what they've done in MMA, all of MMA or definitely UFC, is they've made 10-8s much more common. So now you can kind of win 2 points off a round. Rarely 3, but mostly you get 1 or 2.
It's a big deal. And I like that rule a lot because of exactly what you said. Sometimes you've got like maybe the first round, they end up like on the floor the whole time.
Hard to pick a winner, you know?
Yeah. Or the first round, maybe they're just kind of gauging each other, and there were 8 total strikes thrown the first round. Okay. Nobody won. We just have to declare that this guy got 10 points and this one got 9.
Yep.
The second round, the other guy was on his back the whole fucking time getting hammer fisted. He barely made it.
He's got a Yolanda Jacek forehead. They're still calling it 10-9 the other way.
He got destroyed. But you're saying that this is a tied fight right now going into the third? And no, come on.
This is probably a bad idea. Sorry, I cut you off. But I'd be interested in hearing third round double points. Just because it's kind of like who would have won a fight is how I like to see these things. If it goes to a decision, okay, and I can respect that. I'm not sure I like it. Okay. But like, if you beat me 2 rounds and then I beat you in the third round, and it's pretty clear that, like, you know, if there was imaginary 4th or 5th, I figured you out. Now I'm better. It's just that it took me 2 rounds to get there.
Yeah.
I would have beat you in a no rules fight.
You know what what would actually be better for the spectators though, and for the sport? First round double points.
I'm listening. What's
they
the
get
case
after
for that?
They get after it right away. Like you get a lot of first round knockouts because there's less time to fucking gauge your opponent, feel your opponent. Hey, I got to win this first round. This is huge. Either I win this first round, or it could be a fucking majority draw. Even if I do figure him out for rounds 2 and 3. But what you suggested with the third round double points, it's like you're gonna have a lot of that like slow pace Yoel Romero type shit where it's just like, you know, just I can only throw 12 punches before I'm gassed, but they're gonna be hard. they're gonna be hard. And I'm throwing all 12 of them in the third.
Yeah, that probably would happen. All the rounds double points.
It's pretty good the way it is right now. Yeah.
Anyway, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like maybe if I was gonna make some kind of a change, I would almost like it if there's a majority draw. All right, one more round.
Oh, you know, they do that in The Ultimate Fighter. They used to anyway. Yeah, what would happen is they'd fight 2 rounds, and there'd only be a third if the tie needed to be broken.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense for a health and safety point of view with those guys, and because of the schedule that they're having to fight on as well. But like majority draw is very disappointing when it happens, especially in like a championship bout or a pay-per-view bout. When you play like Wonder Boy versus Tyron, for example.
It adds a little bit to the rematch story, though. Like they tied last time,
It does. It can. It can is what I'll say.
Okay.
But shit, a 6th round. Oh, all right. Yeah, let's give.
Actually, I like that more though. That's better.
Can you imagine like the drama of that moment? Like Bruce Buffer, like so and so scores it, blah 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 blah, and he just goes through them all, and you're like, this is a majority draw. That's right. Final death, instant death mode. Round 6. And then like fucking
the place would
go down.
It'd be better than a hockey shootout. If you did
the lighting changes, the music like they've got like special music for it. It's
fucking smoke effects coming out.
Yeah,
there's one fighter who's fucking salivating at the opportunity to fight a 6th round, and the other one going, it's like clip
Ladies
from
and gentlemen, we are entering the brass knuckle round. They know that they only have like 6 punches left. But they're gonna count for triple because you got brass knuckles on.
Dude, I love the idea of a what are they? Not brass knuckle round, but what are they?
Instant death.
They do call it instant death, like in soccer, like when the next point wins. Sudden death. They should call it a sudden death round. In fighting, it has a whole nother meaning.
First person that gets hit, like not even
the
hard.
guy's like this. Can't believe it. It's like, I thought we were done here. That's all I had. I don't know, man. I would dig that a lot. Like an sudden death round. If it goes to majority draw, it'd be a super rare thing. When it happened, you'd be like, oh my
God, it would be great.
Yeah, especially in like a huge fight, like a big like headline main event fight.
Imagine if Wonder Boy Woodley went to the 6th round. That fight wouldn't be boring.
Maybe it wouldn't. Maybe they just fucking bullshit around for another round.
I don't think a 6th round is going to pull the.
They just keep going. Won. They're like, for the first time ever, we are going to a double sudden death round.
You can't even have it. I guess if one guy got a penalty, you could win the round 10-9 and get a penalty point and it'd be 9-9.
Just very confused. We're going to a second 6th round.
We're going to a sudden or death round.
Yeah.
This one you both get a knife, but only one of them's real.
Don't make us get the guns.
It feels real.
Oh, Nami Yunus has pulled the dreaded fake knife. My dusters are made of rubber. Oh, that's the way she goes.
Dusters?
Yeah, I love MMA.
Brass knuckles a duster. Knuckle duster.
Oh, I never heard of that. Okay.
I love MMA. I don't know what the next card's looking like, but there's always just drama cooking. Like a lot of these guys who know how to play the game and like work social media and work the drama part of it. Like, I like those guys. Sometimes it's not the X's and O's aren't enough, right? Like you need a storyline. That's why like the Super Bowl was so great this year because you had Tom Brady and all that story behind him, and it made it so much more interesting. If there's a story to be told, it's great. Like that's why Conor McGregor versus Nurmagomedov was so fucking nuts. Like Conor's calling the guy's dad a terrorist.
Yeah,
he attacked that bus, and then you've got Khabib, who's just this world beater, and it was a great storyline. Like you had to watch. They genuinely hated each other. Like Khabib jumped out of the ring and attacked Conor's team after the fight. Like he spit on him. It was crazy.
So the next big UFC event is 262.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to match the last one, but it's got Charles Oliveira, the cowboy, I think, is against Michael Chandler, that guy from Bellator who was champion. He came over and he beat one of our guy, the UFC guy. I forget who.
I could have sworn Oliveira just has lost it like this week. I'm almost positive.
Yeah.
I thought he was like the main, like the final fight on the prelims.
No, I don't think so. I'm pulling up his record real quick right now. No, the guy hasn't lost since 2017. So I think this is a basically title eliminator.
Okay.
And but Nate Diaz against Leon Edwards is on that card.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Ferguson against Beneil Dariush.
Good one too. Okay. You're gonna see a lot of blood. There will be blood. That's the fucking
Yeah.
so, like UFC 266. There will be blood
Yeah.
because Nate Diaz is definitely going to bleed. Tony Ferguson, either he's going to be bloody or the other man will. These will not. Sometimes you have clean fights, right? There's little bruising, submissions. That's not going to be the case that night. There will be blood.
I wish Tony would fight Nate. Now that I think about it, different weight
Oh
classes.
my God! Yes.
Yeah.
Why aren't they doing that?
Maybe Nate.
Two guys who don't know how to quit.
Yeah. So Nate Diaz, Taylor, is interesting because he's been in a lot of fights. He has a lot of boxing too. Mm-hmm. He has scar tissue all over his face, so it bleeds very easily. Combine that with one of the best chins in MMA history, and he can just get punched 300 times a night and keep coming. And
and he's covered in blood.
Yes.
Yeah. It seems
I watched his fight versus Connor. That was him, not Nick. Nate.
Yes,
right.
Correct.
Yeah, and his face was. I didn't know about all the scar tissue. I thought he was just an ugly man. But yeah, he was bleeding a lot more than Connor's face.
You think
Connor
Nate's
would
ugly?
hit him with a huge shot, and Nate would knock Nate to the ground, and Nate would be ready to pull guard. He's like, come on down here. Oh yeah, you knocked me to the ground. I'm fine down here. This is my happy place.
Yeah.
And it's just like, shit. Hey, get back up. God damn it. I thought you'd be unconscious.
Yeah.
You still alive?
Gotta try it again. Oh, my hand's getting sore.
Yeah. It's
You think
Nate's a
ugly?
monster. Yeah, Nate's ugly. Come on.
I guess you're right. He looks almost simian in this picture, doesn't he?
He does.
He's got an odd hairline.
I just realized how fucking, what is it called? The hairline chart, Wolfgram or something?
Wolfgram. I'm not familiar with that.
I have it wrong. It was supposed to be an alley-oop. Let's see. Hair loss chart. What do I look for? It is called the
Some people's hair just doesn't recede, and it looks
Norwood.
Norwood. Okay.
You've never heard of the Norwood scale?
I have not. But like, if you become a full-fledged adult man and your hair doesn't go back further than like his, it looks weird. Like, he's got like the forehead of a 10-year-old right there.
I see. I look at it differently. I see him as a Norwood god. He is there, like next to Ronald Reagan, as a guy whose hairline has not moved since middle school, and he's just
I like that thing.
Gifted.
I like the thing black guys do, where like wherever the furthest part of their hairline is, they do a straight line all the way across.
Yeah.
Like
I've done that.
like,
Sure.
His opponent here has done it. Like in this picture you just linked, his opponent has done it. Like he went back to like the deepest recession of the hairline and then just made a clean swoop all the way across.
Yeah. Eventually, that trick just is going to draw more attention than it warrants.
It's called the LeBron.
Yeah, exactly. The LeBron very rapidly, that headband just retreating further and further up his forehead.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's I'm looking forward to the next event because this last one just was so hype. It was so fucking good.
Yes.
I fucking loved it.
Yeah.
I want more.
They best event in years.
You see the only person to call out Kamaru Usman?
Wait. The only person to call out. Who was it? Oh, Conor.
Yeah.
Conor McGregor. Yeah, that's fake. He calls out everybody. He doesn't want any piece of that.
He does not want any piece of that.
No, he's just... It's like when Jake Paul called out Daniel Cormier. Yeah, he doesn't actually want to fight that man. Mm-hmm. He just wants you to think he wants to fight him.
I'd pay for that pay-per-view.
Get him on the line.
I want to see it too.
I want to see...
It's like Cormier's going to win, right? He's a professional fighter. He's one of the better heavyweight champions ever. Yeah. And he was a pretty good striker.
Great striker.
How can that giant marshmallow still fight?
He just can. He's just talented. He's talented. He's strong. And he carries that weight very efficiently.
Well, you'd have to.
He's just so... I mean, he's not that overweight, I think is the thing. I think he's carrying around 40 extra pounds. But he's so strong that it's like, it's 40 pounds. I could carry 400. He's just so goddamn strong.
Yeah.
I think if you cut 40 off of him, he's looking pretty lean.
I think if you cut 40 off him, he doesn't have abs.
I mean, but that's the body of a guy. There's an enormous amount of power in that body.
So much power.
That's true.
So much power, so much like lower body strength, so much wrestling strength.
By the way, I didn't pick like fat Daniel Cormier. He's literally in the octagon in that picture fighting. That's fight night Daniel Cormier. That's not between camps Daniel Cormier.
Yeah.
That man he probably just won in that picture. He's smiling.
He loves food. He loves food. And like, you know, like he has no interest in being some sort of disciplined guy. I mean, the only person who can beat Daniel Cormier at 205 is John Jones. There was only one man alive who could ever beat him at 205.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, we all know he should have been a weight class below. He'd have been the scariest 185er ever.
Yeah.
He would have literally been the scariest 185er ever.
I think you're right. Joe Rogan thinks you're wrong. Joe Rogan thinks he belongs at heavyweight with all that fat on him, and that's his natural weight class.
Well, Joe Rogan can't shop for shirts. Joe Rogan doesn't have a shirt that fucking fits, so I don't care what he thinks.
He does not have a shirt that fits.
I was watching that with somebody the other night. I was like, look at Joe Rogan's shirt. Those buttons are screaming for mercy.
He is testing their tensile strength. It's an experiment.
Oh my God, they're threaded on with Kevlar or something. That's the only way to explain it. And I look like he's of course right next to DC, and DC big boy, and his shirts. What I think a common person like walking down the street would think is tight. It's very form fitting, and it fits him well because it's clearly a tailored shirt. Like it's made to like fit his shape, and like it's becoming. I think is how we'll describe DC's shirt. Joe Rogan's shirt is just stuck to his body. It looks like he's gotten real sweaty, and it's painted on. It's so tight. He needs at least 2 or 3 inches added to like the circumference at every measurement.
Oh, I've never noticed that. I'll need to look up.
It's so incredibly tight.
Shirt.
It makes no sense for it. The man's incredibly wealthy. Like he's clearly wants to look like that.
He clearly wants to look like.
So that's his goal. He's like.
He can't buy non-button-up shirts because his head just ruins the neck hole now.
Just ruins him. He's like George Costanza with a fucking turtleneck.
Look at Taylor throwing head smoke.
Yeah, well, you know what? I think he might have me beat.
On natural, right.
I would have his natural head beat, but
He was a handsome young man.
Yeah,
this isn't a very good picture, but it's on my screen. Like he hardly looks like the same dude.
Yeah, that's a totally. You know what? That looks like Joe Rogan's more normal son.
Mm-hmm.
Like that looks like Jared Rogan.
I think this version of Joe Rogan we got is the best 55-year-old Joe Rogan, however old he is. There can be. Okay.
Well, looking at Rogan, he was not blessed by the Norwood gods.
No. Look, he looks good with a shaved head. He's super buff. He's like he's a big dude, but at the same time, what he really wasn't blessed by was the height gods, because he's like 5'6" or something like that. And it's like, man, he's 5'6" and he's really wide. He's stocky. I think is like a lot of guys say they're stocky, and it's like, no, you're fat. You're fat. You're not stocky. Like you don't have your hips aren't wide. You have normal hips under there. Like you're just fat. You're fat. But like Joe Rogan is just stocky. He's literally like shaped like fucking Gimli or something like that. Like incredible amount of power. I would love to know what Joe Rogan squats. The fact that he has one of the like highest scores ever on that kicking machine is just proof of concept. Right.
GSP says Joe Rogan is the hardest hitting person on earth. Like harder than Ngannou, harder than what Joe Rogan can do with his foot is a harder hit than anyone else on earth.
It's pretty impressive.
That has hit that machine, I believe that. And that is saying something, because that machine has been hit by a lot of professional athletes who hit things for a living.
I wonder
there might be some fucking Slavic monster over there that's some sort of like boxer or kickboxer or sambo champion. I don't know. But I believe that like it's just because you would think that long legs would be more conducive, but I think maybe dense, heavy legs are more conducive for producing power on that particular machine, maybe. Or
I'd like to see the best way to hit that machine hard. Like what if Usain Bolt ran through it? What is the hardest strike we could generate? I wonder.
Yeah. You ever hit one of those punching machines in an arcade or something?
I have.
Yeah. You know what?
I've never hit one without hurting myself.
I've
Really?
never hit one and been happy with my score. I
always hurt myself because I'm usually drunk when I'm hitting them.
Of course, that's the only time you convince yourself. Because when you're drunk, you forget like, oh yeah, I put $1 in and then I hit it, and the $1's gone and the game's over and it's locked back up in the little thing. Like it's just a shitty game. I'd rather play top golden tee.
I can't keep my wrist straight when I'm drunk. Like I'm fucking like my wrist is bending down and shit. I can't keep it straight. I need somebody to wrap my fucking hands at the bar.
I want to see how big a hit, like if we just somehow incentivized a gorilla to punch it, like through its enclosure, and just kind of gauge. It would be impossible to get a gorilla to give its full effort unless it understood what you were asking. But just to see, like, hey, the gorilla kind of did like a sideways, like 10th effort slap, and
you know what you could do,
like a Joe Rogan kick.
You could get a horse to kick.
That's a good idea.
It's a great idea.
I'd like to see that.
Can we get a rhinoceros to poke it?
I'm not saying.
I don't think I think it's.
I don't know how it works. You think so? I still like the Usain Bolt
It's
idea.
more of a lift, than a strike.
That's true. It would flip it over more than it would punch it forward.
Can we get a buffalo to stampede it?
Multiple buffalo?
Those buffalo are so much bigger than you think they are. You guys ever seen an American buffalo in person?
I'm gonna. Apparently, they're all over this motorcycle trail I'm taking.
You will be shocked. Its head is the size of a car hood.
Yeah, they're huge.
Like they're
at the zoo.
Like you think of them like, oh, I bet it's about a little bigger than a cow. It's like 3 or 4 times bigger than a cow's head. It's shockingly enormous. Like I've petted one before, and it's just like, I'm glad I have these carrots.
If we don't eat,
I'm glad these things don't eat people like me.
I'm glad
because he could.
Carrots. How many carrots is he eating? My God, this mass. He's eating 400 pounds of carrots a day.
We should probably wrap it there. We're doing a couple of hangouts. If you guys want to, everybody's listening to this is a potential hangout member, I guess. Anyway, but yeah, we're doing some hangouts with the 50 gang after this, and Woody and Taylor need to eat their dinner before we start. So
yes, I do. I got to run out and munch.
very good. PKN 349.